Hello, I'm Ken Jabert with the Orange County Library System here at the Hiawassee Branch in Orlando, Florida, on January the 10th, 2013, capturing memories from our community. Please tell us your name and where you're from. We'll start with you on the left.
Robert Shanks.
And you?
Robert Elliott.
Okay. Mr. Shanks and Mr. Elliott. Mr. Shanks, how did you come to live in the Orlando area?
I moved from Ohio in '73 to Orlando Pine Hills area, and I went to work for Walt Disney World.
And how about you, Mr. Elliott?
Well, I came to Florida basically during 1985, 1986. That's when my wife bought a home here. So I've been here ever since.
For many years.
Yes.
And are either one of you gentlemen involved with any local area organizations or associations?
Robinswood Community Improvement Association. I am president.
Well, Robinswood Community Improvement Association, I'm one of the co-founders.
One of the co-founders, wow.
Yes.
So can you tell me a little bit about what the Robinswood Association is all about? Mr. Shanks, do you know when it started?
Mr. Elliott could.
Okay,
Yes,
Mr.
I
Elliott.
believe I can, sir. First of all, I want to give credit to my other co-founder, the late Don Mowry. He was here when we came in 1986 and bought a home here. And it's strange that I happened to find out that this was called Robinswood at the local United Methodist Church, which was right across the street from where we lived at. I happened to hear one of the parishioners say, well, it certainly is a nice day in Robinswood. So that was the first time I heard the name Robinswood. So I asked Don Mowry, I said, Don, what is this Robinswood? He said, oh, this was the original community that was here, you know, and long before they started calling it Pine Hills, this was the Robinswood community. So that's how we found out about it.
And how did the Robinswood Community Improvement Association, you're one of the founders, how did that come into existence?
Well, Don had told us in our historical records that the Robinswood Community Civic Association was started in 1957. And it expanded and became which was the latter part of 1970s and 1980s is when the original Robinswood Recreation Center on Powers Drive in Jennings Road was constructed there. And through lack of interest and people moving on, that project sort of like went by the wayside because of volunteerism and people moving on. So we didn't revive the Robinswood Community Association until 1999. So prior to that, we had formed a neighborhood watch program in 1986. And I would like to, express at that point in time that we really didn't need a neighborhood watch association because the community was such a nice community, but we decided we would have one anyway so we wouldn't have to have one. So at that time when we organized that one, I think we had over 120 members, homeowners, practically all homeowners, as part of the neighborhood watch. So as time went by, I was going back and forth to New York. We kept it going until a lot of the people moved on and passed on, whatever the case may be. So it sort of went into decline until 1999.
And how about you, Mr. Shanks? When and how did you become involved with the association?
I became involved in 2004 with Mr. Elliott, and I went to one of the meetings, and then I become an officer after that, and I've been an officer ever since.
What was the first office that you held? What position?
Sergeant at Arms.
Sergeant at Arms.
And for the past 9 years, I've been president of the organization.
What is, and both of you gentlemen can answer this individually, what's your favorite thing about living in the Robinswood area?
Well, it is a very nice area. It is a quiet area, and there's a lot of homes in there. It was owned by the people. Of course, times have changed. A lot of them is becoming rental homes now, and it does create a problem at the rental homes. But still, it is a very nice area, and we try and keep it up as one of the nicest areas on the west side of town.
And I imagine that you would agree with all that, right?
Not only do I agree with it, but I want to emphasize further that one of the reasons that really attracted us to this area was because of the names of the street was so unique and so just fabulous. Like, just give me an example, like Ambassador and Gamble and Wolf Road and Jennings, all those streets' names was so unusual to us because we were so used to the numbers of the streets, but these names had, oh, they were just fabulous names to be called on the streets, and the community reflected the names of the street. Not only was the name was attractive to us, but the community. We lived across the street from the United Methodist Baptist Church, and it was a great turnout at that church, and that was sort of like the pivot point, between Silver Star and State Road 50, between Powers Drive and Hastings. That was the only church that was in that area. And there's no commercial stores at all within that area, not one. Everything's either on Silver Star or State Road 50. It was strictly a residential community, and we just loved it.
Well, speaking of churches and businesses, and do you gentlemen have a particular place that maybe no longer exists, a restaurant or a park or an area of town that you think, oh, I really miss that place?
Well, the Hardee's today used to be a Burger King back years ago in the 70s, Burger Chef. And that was a good corner, a good place to eat. And of course, they went through times and Burger Chef is gone, and it's now Hardee's.
And how about you?
Well, I remember going to a very nice, I would say it was an exclusive restaurant called Quincy's. And, well, Quincy's is no longer there, but I certainly remember it. And it was a very nice place to meet and greet people in the community, And it was located on John Street and State Road 50. And I guess there was other places too, but I just can't recall them.
And what you said you served Mr. Shanks as the Sergeant at Arms and the current president. What kind of duties did was the Sergeant at Arms responsible for?
The duties for the Sergeant at Arms consisted of making sure that the meetings went carefully, also who attended the meetings, that if the public had a problem that it didn't go out of hand, and keep the meeting in order.
And Mr. Elliott, you mentioned the Robinswood Recreation Center.
Yes,
Can
sir.
you tell me a little bit about that building and the history of it that you know?
Well, basically, it was started by the original people that had moved to Robinswood community.
And where was it located?
Between Powers Drive and, actually it was on Powers Drive. It was off Jennings Road and Powers Drive. It was sort of offset, set back off of Powers Drive. And that area was very wooded, Don Maurer had told me that they used to hunt over there, rabbits and things like that and squirrels. And that it was real, it was a wild place, so that's what they built it. They say they had some county participation, but most of it was volunteer financing and volunteering management of it, And they said it was really a very nice place to have, and the community was a very nice place because of the Robinswood Community Recreation Center. They said they had ping pong, billiards, swimming pools, a lot of things that, the family orientated for us that they could, raise the children by. And, well, when I came, it was basically abandoned. The people had moved on, and so I think it just resorted back to the county property, So I don't know too much about the actual history of the recreation center, but I do know perhaps that when it was in existence, it served a tremendous purpose, and a great one at that. As a matter of fact, I think it stabilized the community.
Mr. Shanks, what is your favorite thing about living in Robinswood today?
Well, I've lived there in the Robinswood area since '81. Basically, my home is there, and I plan on staying in the Robinswood area. But it is a great area of Pine Hills community.
And Mr. Elliott, your favorite thing about the Robinswood area?
My favorite thing about Robinswood is the name. I just fell in love with the name Robinswood. And the name Pine Hills was basically from what most of the historians that I spoke with years ago had told me that Pine Hills was basically just an area, not necessarily the name of a community, because of the pine trees that used to be here. And the area is hilly. You have a lot of ups and downs, mountains and things like that in our particular area. And that, like I said before, the name and the people and the homes are such beautiful homes there, their original homes, you know. So it was something that, once you've seen it, you know, you would forever love it.
Did either one of you gentlemen have children or grandchildren that went to school in the area?
I had children that went to school at Evans High School, and I had a daughter that went to St. Andrews School.
And so your children, they would have gone to school at the, I guess, the previous Evans to the one that was most recently opened.
The old Evans High School.
Said you came to town to work for Disney. What was that like? I guess that would have been new or relatively new when you came along.
Right. Disney opened in '71, and I went to work for them in '81 finally. And I was with maintenance. I was there for 26 years.
And did you like working for the Disney company?
It was fine company to work for. The only thing, you had to watch your P's and Q's because every day that something was going to be different, you know. You go out and repair one thing today, and 5 minutes later something else is broke down, and you go from one park to another park to repair it. Everything had to be running and kept running.
Mm-hmm. Well, let me get back to Robinswood for a minute, Mr. Elliott.
Yes, sir.
If someone were to come to one of the Robinswood Community Improvement Association meetings and say, you know, I don't live in the area, but I am really considering moving to Robinswood, what would be your selling point or your hook to convince them that was the thing to do?
The very first thing I do is give him Bob's name and telephone number, because he would be the best person to see. He's a great president. And I just want to emphasize that after I left the presidency, because I moved to another county, Bob Shanks here had taken over, and he's carrying on a tremendous job now. I don't think he gets enough credit for the work that he does.
Okay, then I'm going to move the question to you, Mr. Shanks. What would you do to give that hook to get the person to move to the Robinswood area?
Well, we would have a nice talk to them, what is going on in the community, the organization that we have in the community, and what the organization does in the community. Robinswood Community Improvement Association also has Adopt a Road, which is Powers Drive, and 4 times a year we have cleanup on Powers Drive. The community comes out, we clean up Powers Drive. We try and keep it neat and clean.
Well, thank you very much for your time today. It was delightful to hear about your experiences living in Robinswood, and again, thank you very much.
Thank you
Thank
very
you,
much.
sir.
Okay, it's nice being here.
Thank you.